everybody, Robert Parker in the house. There we are.
Oh,
What's good, brother? Yeah.
Perfect. Good to see you guys. How's it going?
Yeah, you as
Likewise.
well, Robert. Is that a lightsaber tattoo?
No, that's the Deluminator from Harry Potter.
Nice.
Oh,
I have
close enough.
I have the Deathly Hallows tattoo.
Yeah. Looks good, man.
Yeah.
Is that is that Elvish writing around it too?
Yeah, that's the One Ring to Rule Them All. You got
Nice.
11th Doctor Screwdriver, Baseball for Sports, Master Sword, Loki's Scepter, and a lightsaber. And
That's dope, man.
Yeah, I wish I have I'm a little bit organized. Oh, I think I found it. No, I didn't. I wish I was a little more organized with my desk because I have my tattoo design.
Nice.
But it's not anything President. It's my own design. It's a dragon
cool.
with this curled up against a sword, and it forms a D. So that's my design.
That's cool.
So that'll be copyright if anyone steals it. Because I have
There you go.
somewhere in this.
Patent pending.
Yeah.
Robert, first of all, man, great fucking match, dude.
Thank
Yes. Great match.
Thank you.
But now you've got Chandru coming up.
I
I
do.
mean, you got past Ellison. Now you got Chandru. I wanted to. Okay, now it is silly, yes, but I mean, come on, just kind of bear with me here. I've got a theory about Chandru that I would like to get your opinion on.
I'm all ears.
So when Chandru entered the league, he had short hair and he was a young buck. And as he has progressed up to the point, and yes, he lost the title here, but that's okay, man. It happens to the best of them, dude. Dan Murrell, it happens, dude. But as he has progressed and got to that his pinnacle of power, his hair had grown out so long. So my theory is that Chandru's power is in his hair, and as it grew out longer, he got more powerful. What do you think about that? Do you think that holds any weight, or am I just I'm way out?
You know, I don't know if there's a causation, but there's definitely a correlation. It's not nothing. I think you might be onto something there. I haven't seen him lately. I don't know if he's been growing it out or cutting it. We haven't seen him in a couple months, but yeah, I don't think that's nothing, man. You might be onto something.
I think that when we find out what's going on with his hair and then the outcome of that match, I think then we'll have a little bit better of an idea if I'm onto something.
Right. It's definitely there's something there from the last couple of years, but we haven't seen him since basically day one of this season, at least in the ring. So
yeah, has it been that long? Holy shit!
Yeah. The opening, he was the headliner of the opening night and hasn't played since.
Damn.
On that, I was just wondering, not seeing him or hearing anything from him for so long, how does that change your preparation for him, if at all?
Man, there's nothing more that I like in the Schmodown world than Chandru not talking. So I'm more than okay having not heard from him in a while. That's totally okay by me. But I also know, look, you got to respect the guy's game. He's a champion. He's defended the IG belt for the first time in years. It's been a long time. So he's a fighter. He's a very, very strong player. One of the best in the IG division, definitely. And we only have that one match of him with the new categories, especially. Mm-hmm. And I know how hard that guy works. I know because we saw his progression when he came in his first two matches. They were good, but they weren't championship level. And then by the time he was playing, Smets and Mara, and when he was playing those matches, he was playing like a champion. So I know how hard he works. And I know that just because he's quiet doesn't mean he's not working. He's not shoring up those weaknesses. So I'm ready for a fight.
What do you think about those new categories and the new movies that have been introduced this year?
When I first got the list, I wasn't too happy, to be honest with you, because I had spent so long, and I'm just inherently better at a lot of the core categories that were already there, and I'd spent a really long time working on this stuff, and so when they flipped it, I thought that I was one of the at the time, I thought I was one of the people it benefited the least as compared to some of the other players who I think benefited a little bit more from it. And then I realized that I actually know those movies a lot better than I thought I did, just because I am a movie fan. I am a trivia fan and I am a Schmodown fan, but I also just love movies, and I'd seen way more of them than I thought I did, and I remembered way more of them than I thought I did. So I've come around in it a lot. I think it absolutely at the time, like I said, when I got the list, I wasn't too happy, but I've come around on it. I think it was definitely a breath of fresh air in the IG, and I think it's what the division needed.
Yeah.
I do think, I'm very biased, but coming from an outsider's perspective, like the division was getting a little bit stagnant. It was everybody knows everything. It was everybody, first person to miss is going to lose, and it still is that way in some respects. But I think the variety of categories, the variety of questions, the variety of movies, like I've been watching the same 100 whatever, 200 whatever movies for the last 2 years, 3 years. And now I'm like, oh man, I get to see new stuff again. This is so exciting. So it's definitely, it has for sure reinvigorated my passion for division.
On the flip side of that, is there a category that in the future you would like to see introduced in Innergeekdom?
Ooh, that's a really good question. I don't know about a specific category, but I think there's movies that could fit into the categories as they exist now.
Okay.
Like I think there are more swashbuckling adventure movies. I think there are more fantasy sci-fi movies. I think there are more dystopian future movies. Like I think, the list that they have is strong, and there's a lot of new movies. Yeah. But, if we're going to include crappy fantasy movies, like I don't want to call anything out specifically. If we're going to include some crappy fantasy movies, why not include other crappy fantasy movies? Like if we're going to include Willow, why can't we include like Stardust or Aragon? Like they're just as bad as movies, some of them, but they're also dense with trivia. I think there's a lot of other movies that could be added to the categories that exist as they are now.
Yeah, I'm still waiting for the first Cutthroat Island question.
Right. Or like Treasure Island, or like
Yeah, I think I did hear some questions on Aragon and Stardust in IG, but again, they all blend together for me because I watch so many of them. So it's like it sounds like okay, it's all the same thing. But my question for you is, what made you want to debut in the IG division specifically?
I just inherently know those movies a lot better. Like I would do okay if I played a teams match. There's certain directors' filmographies I'm really familiar with, and like I could hold my own, but I'm not gonna like go running for a teams or singles title right now. It's just the division that I inherently would have the most success in. And I played in other leagues before the Schmodown, and other fan leagues or other online leagues, and those sort of divisions are always what I had the most success in. That's what I had already been studying for before I came to the Schmodown. So it's just what I had already put in the work in, and it's what I have the most passion for, and it's what I knew I would find the most success in. Okay, well, I'm glad I phrased it like that, because I had heard that you were good in a singles division, and I'm like, really? I heard that from other places. Okay. I'm glad I didn't say, oh, I heard your success in the league, fan leagues about teams and singles. So I'm glad I phrased it the way I did. I would do okay, but not against top tier competition in the Schmodown. Okay, all right. Yeah, let me think of another question, because you're good. You're good. Go ahead, Chris.
So first of all, Robert, it's a pleasure seeing you again, brother.
You too, man.
It's been a few weeks. But if I asked you this before, please forgive me. But when you like this whole thing that you've been rocking with this season is like, I am better than what people are making me out to be. Like, I am the shit. I'm top tier. Don't disrespect me. And when you beat Brandon, I know people are still like, oh, it's a Brandon Hanna. That's not a quality win. And then you beat a 3-division stud like Chance Ellison. And you had said in other interviews that like my loss to Chance was a fluke. And now that you beat Chance the way you did, don't even need a 5, because who cares about the 5? You don't need it. But how was just to take you back to last season for a minute, how was that getting drafted the way you were? Like, you were highly touted. Kaiser put a lot of his faith in you as the future of Innergeekdom. Your season ends the way it does, but now this season, 2, in my opinion, more than quality wins in Innergeekdom, now having a #1 contender shot, which I think you may be the favorite in, against Chandru. Like, how has that been for you, and just as a fan, and then the fans reacting the way they have to you as someone who loves the game outside of competing?
So I first off, I definitely think both of the people that I played against this year played great games. Like Hannah's, he may not have played super well in the third round, but I think he's a great player who has a lot of potential. I think he's better than a 500 record. Like I have a lot of respect for the way that guy prepares and the work he puts in and how much he cares. So I think Hannah's a great player, and he's Chance. I mean, he beat me last year in a very similar way. He didn't need the 5 to beat me last year either, and that was I played badly that day, or not as well as I should have, I should say. I didn't necessarily play a bad game, but didn't play a good one either. So yeah, Chance is obviously an incredible player. I'll never knock the skill and the prep and the hard work that goes into anybody's game, because I know how much people care about it. But yeah, as far as what was the second part of the question? Sorry,
reacting to the whole how fans have treated you since the loss last year, being as highly touted as you were.
And I want to piggyback up that question a little bit too, because it also adds. Do you think there is a what have you done for me now lately culture in the Schmodown? Because we also did see it with Ace as well.
100%, yeah. The Schmodown is a fickle community sometimes, just because if you're not currently hot, if you're not currently on a run, there's just a lot of recency bias, and we see that especially with like the end of the year awards. Like, for example, last year I think Snyder won Player of the Year when Dan did better in every conceivable metric. You know, title matches won, record, accuracy, like across multiple divisions. But because Snyder had a better end of the season than Dan did, like that's just the recency bias. So that's definitely a thing. And I did part of that on purpose. Like after I lost a Chance, I kind of fell off the grid, and a little bit on purpose. I was still there for my dungeon mates. You know, I was helping train Smets, and I was helping with our people we were putting into the tournaments. But as far as my personal, like, hey, what can I do this season? I knew my matches were kind of over, and I didn't want to just like sit there and scream at Twitter to try to stay relevant. Like I was okay. I was very comfortable with just sort of fading into obscurity for a little bit, because I knew that meant my return this year, if I played how I wanted to, which so far I've been lucky enough to do, I knew it'd be way more effective if I just, went out, ended 2-1 last year, which is like a good record, but it's not a, first round draft pick, first rookie, win a title, come out and win by knockout in your first match. Like it didn't live up to the hype last year, at least by my record. And I knew that it'd be more effective if I came out swinging and started playing, perfect matches. If I started getting perfect rounds in new categories, if I started really like playing how I wanted to play this year, the fan response I think would be more strong, because they're like, whoa, I thought this guy was overrated. He was like a down and out by the middle of last year. I haven't heard from him in 9 months, and now he's back playing perfect. Like that's the kind of response I wanted to have. And I think so far, I think that's been the response. I haven't I learned last year to not dive too deep into like the comment section or the Reddit or like the Facebook group. Like I really, I think I invested too much in that last year, and I've learned my lesson. So I've kind of kept my ear to the ground a little bit on the fan response, but I haven't I guess seeked it out. Seeked, is that the right word? I don't know. I haven't seeked it out as much as I did last year.
Sought.
There it is. Thank you.
I was know what you meant.
I studied math, not English. So
I suck at everything but history, but I just wanted to let everyone know that I know stuff too.
Thank you. Yeah.
Dream City knows things.
There you go. Perfect. Yeah. I haven't sought it out this year, but I still think, the validation from my faction and my own internal and from Kaiser, that matters a little more to me, especially because I have seen how the fans can kind of turn on the flip of a dime.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I got another question. So if you could actually face off against any champion, past from the past or even present, who would you want to face against?
That's a great question. Like me now playing them in their prime, probably Rachel. Probably Rachel. Or you know what? Probably Smets.
I was going to say, I would love to see Smets.
Smets and I played once years and years ago, before either of us were the players we are now, before he was in the Schmodown. And obviously we scrimmaged a bunch last year, but in a big moment in a live event for the title, at Spectacular or at Collision or something like that. I think that would have been a really, really special match.
I'm not going to lie. You could easily sell out a 100-seat theater with that. Seriously, hopefully. You could.
Yeah. So I think that was part of the plan of me being drafted so high, was to try to build that and make that match happen. But then obviously the state of the world going to the way it did. And obviously Kevin having the things that he has to fight. But I would say, like Kevin, I would like to be like Kevin, at my level now, the night that he won the title off of Kalinowski or something like that. Like at that level, I think that would be just another 51-50. Like I think that'd be an incredible match.
We're gonna get that match. I know we will.
Yeah, I hope so.
Yeah. Well, I think the highest. I actually have the numbers here. The highest IG match that could happen, not counting overtime, is 44-44. Same thing as Star Wars. So that's the highest. But obviously, if it was a 51-50 that won, that's obviously going to overtime.
Right. Or even with the old speed round too. Like who knows? That the old speed round versus the new speed round. That shakes some stuff up points wise too. But yeah, I think that'd be a great match that I would love to play, and I know he would too. We've talked about it before.
Yeah. We're going to take a question from a viewer right now from the live chat. This person, he's Canadian. You can tell because of the silly ass way he spells the word color.
Hey! We're the proper English version. You knocked that.
Love you, Ryan.
Yeah, we're the people who make a borrowed language.
We are all now Americans on screen here.
Right. So we take your language and we twist it into we twist your language into the Frankenstein monster.
Something looks weird here. Shit, I'm not even on the screen.
And I have a follow-up to this question as well. But what colors are you busting out for your match against Chandru?
Probably the same one. I haven't switched suits since day one. I invested to make that one fit nice and well, and in quarantine I had to work to get it to fit again after a couple months of a break. But no, I feel very comfortable that Kaiser jokes that suit is sort of, or your character is your sort of your uniform, right? If you're playing football or soccer or whatever sport, you have your jersey, you have your shin pads, your cleats, whatever it is, your pads. For the Schmodown, our costumes, our props, our characters, our uniform, and I feel very, very comfortable in that uniform. So probably the same one. It'll probably stay the same way until something big happens with the character, if that ever happens. But no, the only downside of that suit is it's hot. On a warm day, that thing. That's why I take the jacket off, is because that suit gets hot.
And to piggyback off hold on, Soda. To piggyback off because I did say I have a follow up after this. So come on now.
You also did kick me off screen.
You're valid. And I just might kick you off again, even though I love you. But come on, man. But no, as you just said, and you set up this next question for me perfectly by referring to what you wear as your costume. It's like your uniform. What do you read anything, and what do you think we can read into the fact that Roka came out in a blue? I'm colorblind, but it looked blue to me. A blue sports jacket last night. He changed, according to what you said. It appears he's changed up his uniform. Does that mean we got a change coming, or am I just reading too much into that?
I think you're reading too much into it because he's been around for 1,000 years. He just collected stuff.
But we've had people, we've had people with costume changes sort of signify character changes before, right? You think of Paul Oyama shedding his jacket, right? That's a great example at the start of last year. I think it really depends. Roka definitely did not have his usual jersey on. If you want to think of it in that terms, maybe it was the practice jersey or, a different coloration, like a home versus an away or something like that. But no, I don't know. I couldn't tell you. I'm not spying on the exchange, so I don't know what's going on in that. Like, I don't know, that basement, that pizzeria basement that they run.
And Soda, before you jump in with your question, I do want to say the best costume change for characters in the history of Schmodown was Kalinowski when he stopped cosplaying and he started just wearing suits.
I agree.
So that I will just want to put that out there now.
Yeah. Yep. That's a really good point.
Yeah. So in terms of costume stuff, what gravitated you towards the suit? Was that something you were doing in the fan leagues or
no?
Okay.
No, not at all. That was something that for sure as it came to Schmodown. So I want to say what happened. I wore like a full suit to the draft. And I mean, most people did. It was sort of like a semi-black tie affair, and I had the bow tie and everything. And after Kaiser drafted me, I think later that night we were just shooting the shit, and he and I sort of like came up with this idea of like, not necessarily the the brashness, but the look. If you think of Conor McGregor before, like in his interviews and in his press conferences, right? He's always dressed to the nines, right? He's strutting around. He's got the little flower, right? That kind of attitude and that kind of presence and that kind of look is what we wanted to bring to it. So that it was mostly a conversation between Kaiser and I. Then I spent probably the best part of 2 months, like trying to find the right suit with the right look. You know, you don't want just like a tux. You want something that, you know, has a little bit of pattern, has a little bit of color, has a little bit that shark blue, right? So we spent a while and eventually found it and got it to fit, and the rest is history. We have nobody like remembers it, but our first match in studio, like I took off the jacket, like Kaiser took the jacket off of me and like he like held on to it for the full match, and we wanted to keep that bit going, and then we never had another match in studio, so that's why I take it off and like hang it up.
Continuity. I like that.
Right, exactly. So when we get back in person, Kaiser will be taking the jacket off me again. Kaiser also wears a jacket whenever I take mine off. He puts his on. He's got this like brown jacket, right? So like in the post match. Yeah, if you watch the post match of me and Chance, as I'm putting mine back on, he's like ripping his off. Like it's very funny, and it's like it's subtle, so like it's not like in your face. It's not a bit that many people are going to notice. It's just something that we kind of do to make each other laugh. But yeah, that's sort of the origins of the suit. Was we wanted the presence and the swagger and the look to be like a boxer and a UFC fighter in their press conference.
That makes sense. See, my mind was like, oh, maybe I'm seeing a James Bond type of thing, like a debonair type thing.
Yeah,
but the Conor McGregor comparison, I'm like, oh, that makes even more sense.
Right, a little bit of Peaky Blinders too. The Kaiser's got like the newsboy hat, like Peaky Blinders. Like that's where the pocket watch came from. Peaky Blinders, like that's where that influence came into.
Cool.
And Parker, when you're going into a match, right, and when let me rephrase, going into the season, and like you see like the Dungeon's top 3, Dan Murrow, Ben Bateman, Robert Parker, like it's a steady 3, and then you draft as successfully, in my opinion, as you do, or at least Kaiser drafting the rest of your faction, right? And for you, as still like the guy who just popped up last year in the Schmodown, and you're amongst some of the best players to ever do it in the respective divisions. So going into this season with already set precedent for you, and now you're jumping into a faction with already high expectation because of who's in it. How was that mindset for you going into like preparation, or really going into what the whole faction is doing as a whole? Because y'all are on top for now. Y'all been on top for a while, but is there that already added pressure for you because you have to stack up to folks like Mara, Ben, Dan, or is it you're in the moment, you're worrying about it now, and you cry about your losses or your wins later?
I don't think there's a lot of like, oh, this person has like such a legacy. Like I'm starstruck to be in a Zoom call with them. Like people are people. Like if you find the right thing to talk about or just get to hang out with them enough, like you start to get along. So I didn't really have any pressure of like, oh man, I better shape up and not like fuck up in front of Dan and Mara. Like, but also it was a pretty late thing to come together towards like the beginning of free agency draft sort of time. It was not like this has been decided since day one, this is going to happen. But once we started hanging out and talking on the phone and working together, we knew that it wasn't going to be high pressure. Everybody, this is going to go undefeated the entire season because we're all historians of the game. We all love the game. You know, Bateman, myself, Dan, Mara, everybody. So we know that losses are going to happen. Like nobody goes undefeated. Nobody. 0 people who have played more than like 5 matches have gone undefeated. It just doesn't happen long term. So we knew that the pressure was there to win the faction title. That was always going to be the number one priority. But we also knew that like if there are stumbles along the way, you know, we'll be there to pick each other back up. And we'll be there to celebrate each other and our successes as well. You know, I've never felt the family cohesion as I do this year. And it was there last year, you know, me, Smets, and Witt and Drew and everybody last year as well. But it's something different this year.
You actually ended up answering another question I had, which was what is the most positive difference? But I got to say this.
It's the people. It really is.
Yeah. Well, I got to say this, though. When I saw the Nerd Chronics package last night, and when Dan and Mara popped on your video at the same time, I got a huge reaction from me. I'm like, we're getting that much closer, folks. Like that.
We're getting there. We're getting there.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And I think that's also part of, the faction's successes this year as well. I mean, we all have the knowledge and the strategy. We all know how to do it, but doing it together really takes a weight off. Like if there's an IG movie, leading up to Chandru's match, if there's something that Mara just wasn't going to have the time to watch, I was able to hop in there and, give her the bullet points notes and do it. We call it downloading, kind of like in the Matrix, where you just like plug each other's brains in. And so like I was able to give her a download on like this category, these couple of movies. So, hey, you don't have to watch them. Here's what you need to know. And vice versa. And Dan and Ben do that as well. They have their own study methods as well. But it's definitely a hand-in-hand, win together, lose together. We're doing it together.
I think you guys are going to take it this year personally. Like, I think Corruption is going to come back and give you a run for your money. But I got a strong suspicion you guys are going to take it this year.
Yeah, I hope so too. I think so. I think we're in a good position. But also, who knows with tournament season, man? Because Corruption was in last or close to it at the start of the singles tournament season last year, and then it was depending on the size of the tournament, somebody's going to go 5-0 to get to the finals and win, right? And 5 matches is a lot of matches. That's a lot of points. Maybe that's a lot of points. So who knows with tournament season, and we have tournaments in every division still coming up. I think, I don't know the size, but we have 4 tournaments still coming up this year. So who knows? There's a lot of points still on the table. So we're taking it one step at a time.
To kind of give you a little bit of to kind of give you a preview, Robert, because I did the numbers for next week's segment for my second numbers.
I saw that.
Yeah, well, Corruption has 11 points in IG as of right now. And I think that's the exact same amount they had with the tournament last year. Obviously, it's not the same. The tournament didn't happen in June. It happened, I think, in July or something.
Earlier,
like But they have almost the same amount of points as of right now as they did last year when they were in last place. So it's going to affect it as going forward. But
exactly. And who knows, like title matches are worth more. So, if Bateman's able to get the job done and if Dan is able to retain or Bateman's able to take it off him, either way, if it's dungeon versus dungeon for that singles title, that's a lot of points in our bank. If I'm able to get the job done against Chandru and potentially Mike, that's a lot of points in the bank. We have a more dense and a more deep Star Wars bench than people give us credit for. We have people who can run through that second tournament. I think we're in a good spot. Obviously, Dan and Ben then are going to get their shot again, and we saw what they were able to do in tournament season the first time. They are a tournament team, so I think we're in a good spot to take care of it. We just got to do our job and win.
Yeah, no, you guys are in a great position to do it. Like, this is one of the more. I know last year was like the Finstock Exchange had the hormone or whatever, but there's something about the dungeon this year. It feels like it's the more stacked team, if that makes sense. Like, it feels like it's probably the best collection of players we'll ever see
on paper.
Comes back
on paper, but also who knows? The Mercs are. I think the Mercs are in second right now or third. Are they tied for something? I want to say they're tied for second. I don't know if that's true.
Now.
According to Dan's thing earlier, they're second. Yeah.
Okay. Right. So they're second. They're second off of the strength of. I mean, Bibiani and Brendan both lost in singles this year.
Andrew Demolanta. That's his strength.
Right. So that's what I'm saying. Right. So their points have come from title matches with those two, players. I count Shazam as one in the teams division. And if both of if that team and and Demolanta continue to win for the rest of the season, like they're still going to have a really good shot of being in that top 3, if not number 1. If some of their lower down players start, bringing in the points in other divisions, like that is very possible that just on the strength of those 2 entrants, like they're able to keep it up there. So when it comes to obviously, number 1 contender title matches, those are being worth more points means that those top tier players are even more valuable. So on paper, we may have it right now, but who knows if somebody in the singles tournament from the Den or the Stars makes like an insane run and starts knocking fools out, and then suddenly they're in the race, right? Like that's what's fun of that's part of the fun of it with the standings and the faction points is, we have a lead, but you never know how quick that can disappear.
Yeah, and let's not forget the negative points that were introduced this year as well.
Right, exactly. Right. Yes, with a TKO, a single TKO is a -1 to somebody else. So who knows? If God forbid the dungeon starts getting TKO'd or the exchange starts getting TKO'd, that can change dramatically, very, very quickly.
Right, and I mean, to your point, Robert, like we saw that happen with Snyder last year. like the stars needed points, and he ran through 2 tournaments. And he didn't win the singles one, but he got damn close. He just ran into the wall that was Adam Collins at the time.
Right, and he brought him from like 6th or 7th probably to like 2nd or 3rd or something, like I think 3rd.
Yeah, if I recall correctly, I think Broxy was like in 6th or 7th. And I remember writing about this last year, where in order for them to be competitive to the FinStock Exchange and Corruption and Swag, both Mark Andreyko and Jeff Snyder had to win the singles tournament, the teams tournament, win those matches, and then they would actually have a chance. But because of Jeff Snyder,
and they almost did.
They almost did. But as soon as Mark Andreyko lost, that's the moment I know they were out. So that's why I kind of, when you see my graphics with
that's really interesting. I had never thought of somebody doing it that way, where okay, here's the point of no return. I think that's fascinating. As a numbers nerd, I'm in love with it.
Last year I wanted to do something. I wanted to get back into writing, but I just didn't know. And I saw everybody doing the standings, the rankings. I'm like, I can do something better. I can forecast the future and show where everybody's going to end up and potentially knock them out. And so, I figured that out, and that's why I love my little system.
Yeah, it's awesome.
And last year, Rockstars finished in 3rd. They finished ahead of Finstock by 1 point and with 6 fewer matches.
Right.
And Robert, if I can ask you one more thing before we let you go.
Yeah.
I like doing this with competitors because we're all fans. At the end of the day, we're all fans.
We do love it.
Y'all just have the opportunity.
Really, I was paid to be here.
Right. Wait, if you're getting paid, then Jay, we gotta talk. But I might have asked you this on Spin from the Real, and if I did, again, forgive me. But what's your favorite match this year that you haven't been a part of?
Ooh,
Mara versus Chandru. I had been working with Mara. I mean, I had known her for a while, but we'd never really talked consistently or worked together or talked, movies or IG or anything like that. We had just been friendly. But getting the chance to work with her has been just a blessing. It's been incredible. The knowledge and the strategy and just the camaraderie that she brings to the team is insane. And I saw how hard she worked before that Chandru match for months. I mean, I don't even remember exactly when that was shot, but it was a couple weeks after the draft, a couple weeks after free agency. And we had been talking for a couple weeks before that, probably. So seeing that hard work pay off for her was just one of the moments of highest elation that I felt all season. I enjoyed watching that match now even more than I enjoyed beating Chance. That match is so special for me and for the whole faction.
Yeah. And you could tell in the look on her face, it meant a lot to her.
Yeah. And she worked so hard. And even the Mike match, I think she played very well and she worked just as hard going into that match. And she's going to come back just as strong. Just so you guys wait, she's going to finish the season strong for sure.
Excellent. Robert Parker, everybody. Big match coming up now this week. Pay-per-view against Chandru. Good luck, sir.
Thank you.
Congratulations on your most recent win. And thank you very much for your time and coming here and talking to us today.
Yeah, anytime. Thanks for having me on. I actually got to go get back to studying. So have a good rest of your show, guys.
We'll be rooting for you next week because it's
appreciate it.
You're facing Chandru and everyone hates it.
Well, I appreciate that. By default, I'll take it. I'll take it.
I'm actually a Dungeon shill. Dungeon all the way.
I'm just messing with you,
because he's been good to us at Schmoes of the North, so he won my respect right there.
All right, have a good show, guys. Peace.
Later,
See you later, Robert.
You want to hear something funny? The mic wasn't on that whole time.
No way.
Yeah, for real.
Oh, wow.
So smooth.